We're the biological entities that were created through combining genetics, Earthling genetics with ET genetics. And we're talking multiple different
Oh,
civilizations that came to our planet at least 500,000 to a million years ago. And they started changing our DNA. And some of them did it because they just wanted like a bunch of workers. They needed someone to mine the planet or to do the labor. So they genetically enhanced the existing human at that time so that they would have a little more intelligence and be able to do more tasks. That was part of
little
it.
selfish, selfish reasons.
Yeah, no, seriously. There's
Yeah.
good ETs, there's Christ conscious or Buddha conscious ETs, and then there's ETs that are negative and they're not nice.
Less evolved toward love. More on the
Yeah.
spectrum of fear and control still, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we were our humanity, and that's actually another reason why there's such a variety of races on our planet. From what I understand, you go to another planet, and the inhabitants of those other planets tend to be very similar in
Yeah,
appearance.
not a huge
Um,
variety of
yeah,
phenotypes, as they say.
you can clearly see the genetic makeup of people. There's different colors, there's different skin colors, hair colors, eye colors, different heights. The only consistency is the five-pointed star, with the head, the human,
We've all
the
got one head, two arms, two legs.
yeah, two arms, two legs, one head. That's
Humanoid.
that's
Yeah.
right, the primary, consistent shape of humans. Now, I know that there are insectoid races, and there's other races that have a tail. Now, what's really interesting is there's humans that are born with they call them a prehensile tail, like their spine actually has an extra extension
Oh,
on it. There's been humans born like that. And luckily nowadays they can remove that, but there's been humans born like that.
yeah. So some
And
genetics
because
coming
some
from
of
the
our genetics from way back when, we came from one of the races was beings that had tails.
yeah.
People say the United States is a melting pot. Well, our entire planet is a
The
melting
whole
pot.
melting, the whole planet is a melting pot. It's the whole planet. This might explain why we took so long to get along and are still not quite getting along. Because this goes back to intergalactic warfare.
Unfortunately, so one of the races that came in, and as I was talking about the little tail, okay, one of the races was the reptilian races. And they're the ones that they're into power, control, fear, they're very abusive. That was one of the races that genetically programmed us. And from what I understand, they actually did something to our brainstem area and the area right above it. There is actually some kind of genetic manipulation in there that causes that whole fight or flight response that was actually programmed into our genetics from the reptilian line.
To have that.
And that is what causes so much conflict on our planet between people because we've been genetically programmed to have fight or flight, as opposed to what I believe we originally came into a body that always has harmony and oneness as the original choice, as opposed to fight or flight as the original
Didn't always
choice.
default to fear all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So
The default was before love, whereas now on a genetic level, we still seem to have this fear default. And as beings, we have to override that rather than just having a
exactly, we're growing into that space where that's our default as opposed to the fight or flight.
it's even called the reptilian brain, right?
Yeah, it's even called the reptilian brain. How isn't it? That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
One interesting thing that I had heard when it comes to genetics was Sasquatch. From what I understand, at least one of the races, I don't know how many races of Sasquatch there are, but at least one of the races of Sasquatch actually stems from the original human. So the original Sasquatch, that lineage did not get tampered with. One lineage of humans got tampered with,
Yeah.
maybe even a couple of them, but the lineage that the Sasquatch come from, they never got tampered with. So they were able to evolve on Earth as normal. Okay.
Um,
And
very
interestingly
terrestrial.
enough,
Yeah.
they surpassed what we call humans years, thousands, hundred thousands of years ago, because the Sasquatch are aware beings that have the ability to shift in and out of 3D and go into 4 and 5D at will. So that's what we would have looked like had we not been genetically altered way back when by different races. I've had very limited experience with Sasquatch, but my experience is that they communicate telepathically. I've heard them vocalizing, which was really cool. I heard them vocalizing across some terrain, but they communicate with you telepathically, and they are all over the planet. And if they feel comfortable with you, they'll let you see them or hear them or at least be aware of their presence. I have never physically seen them with my eyes, but I have gotten telepaths and I've known that they're there. They'll be like, okay, we're here. Or
Yeah.
I'll hear in my head, I'll hear Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And oh, there's a Sasquatch around here. I'm like, oh, send them a little spiritual hi. If you want to show yourself, I'm good with it. It hasn't happened yet, but I do hear that occasionally. And it's not just in heavily wooded areas. I was out hiking in some open space in my town, which is basically a suburban area with some open space sprinkled through there. And there was one there. And I heard Sasquatch and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, wow, they're here, really? Like,
Hello.
they're there.
I love it.
Okay. I'm like, yay, I'm Sasquatch near me. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they didn't give any specific other communication, just a hello, hi, we're here. We want you
Just
to.
a hello, hi, we're
Right.
here. They're all over the planet and there's different species of them. That's actually why the abominable snowman is white. The abominable snowman
Okay,
is
right,
Sasquatch, but he's white.
right.
White fur because he's in the
Right.
snow.
Yeah.
So and also some of the Sasquatch are friendlier
Mhm.
than other, I'll just say species of them. Some of them are just like, no, we don't want
Yeah.
anything to do with humans and we'll be aggressive towards them. Maybe that's because maybe they've been injured. I don't know. So not all of them are the ones that I'm explaining about. These are just my personal experience. So an idea of the size of some of the Sasquatch.
Very large beings.
Mhm.
That explains why some of them might not reveal themselves to humans because either they've had a response that was less than positive. It would scare someone.
If you're out there alone and you're
You're
like,
not trying to see one and you're just hanging out and all of a sudden a 7 or 8 foot tall being. Yeah. It makes sense though, the original, I want to call them the original terrestrials because they look more earthy. They're very earthy. They're hairy.
right.
They can live out in the forest. Humans, we need all of our things.
Right.
A lot of, we need a lot of help to survive out in the wilderness. All the other earth creatures are able to handle their environment without producing some sort of thing. We're just naked. We need lots of help. We're kind of helpless, really, without all of the extra things that we make.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to think of some of the genetic manipulation that happened via the more controlling side of the spectrum of ETs, really limited that awareness of telepathy as well. It kind of stunted a lot of our intuitive awareness and higher knowing. Really, what we would call from the psychic level, the upper chakra functions were stunted. And so the evolution of humanity just got stuck in that fear and control, divide and conquer loop for quite a while.